ho, ho! Welcome to this holiday episode of the FANMEN podcast. I'm DJ Gove.
Chris Davis.
Sean Hogarty. You sound like a stupid elf.
Well, I am.
Are you still drunk from a couple nights ago?
I'm the elf that used to eat the lead paint chips off the fire trucks.
I have a little trouble understanding Chris.
You had a little trouble understanding me?
Yeah, you're like muddy.
You know what? Just do it again.
Yeah,
Just do the ho 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 again, and then if it's cleaner now, just leave it
Yeah, we
going.
can do that.
all right.
Okay.
All right. Yep.
Start it over.
Ho, ho, ho! Welcome to this holiday episode of the FANMEN podcast. I'm DJ Gove.
Chris Davis. Funnier the second time around. That was awesome, DJ.
I am to impress.
You suck.
Happy holidays, gentlemen.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
DJ.
Christmas.
Happy Boxing Day.
I
Shalom,
love the fact
whatever you
that I
say.
knew it was coming, and it delighted me even more the second time around.
It just sounded so dead, which is appropriate. It's been a
Yeah.
a good
fair.
holiday.
Yeah. So we just because of scheduling and you know, excellent Mandalorian related items, we kind of pushed the Christmas episode back a little bit this year. So the day we're recording it, I'm officially out of Hell Week for retail.
Excellent.
My second retail job, which I did over 40 hours this week, on top of the 40 at my normal job.
Yeah.
Somehow,
Damn.
I am just exhausted.
At
Yesterday
least you
was
get paid.
a blast. Yeah, I do. Yeah, yesterday was
Money's good.
return day was fun.
How many
Yeah.
times did you have to call the cops?
Yesterday, none. So that's good. But I was just handing out, like I told you guys, I was just handing out Darwin Awards left and right. You know, like people bring up the big box that says display only on it with a price tag and an out of stock sticker on it. How much is this? Can I get one?
No.
It's like, you got any PS5s? Day after Christmas. It's like, no, I don't have anything. It's the day after Christmas. The spirit was with me. Let me tell you.
Well, I'm glad you survived it without killing anyone or ending
Yes.
up in jail.
Yeah,
You
no,
didn't
it was
get
good.
arrested.
The only thing that was my
So, you know.
no.
We had
My
odds
back
on
is
you.
wrecked.
It was even money.
Yeah, it was.
We weren't sure whether you were making Christmas Eve.
Yeah, we had some flare ups last week. Tensions got high because
Mm.
people are stupid.
We survived Christmas. It was pretty good and relaxing. Was a little. I ended up a little depressed in weird ways. That like I sometimes just forget how much I hate technology. And I always have these bright ideas of buying technological gifts and forgetting that they're just a giant pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But I survived.
I
Ate
actually,
shitloads.
for me, it was a little bit different. I actually kind of embraced the basically the hard pass on Christmas this year. It's like
Mm-hmm.
no
Yeah.
obligation, no travel, no. It's like, hey,
There it is.
COVID, no Christmas.
In a weird way, this was my ideal Christmas. There was no family drama because you couldn't see anybody.
Yep.
Not who's going where and any timing or any of that bullshit. I didn't have to step foot in a store.
Yep.
I mean, it was perfectly acceptable to have every gift just shipped to you.
Yes.
I didn't have to deal with any of the mouth breathers the DJ was dealing with.
Yes.
Or the
Yeah.
whole hustle and bustle of like, we found that there's certain people, like the ones you were buying obligation gifts for,
Yeah.
the annoyance of the holiday where you're just going to buy some piece of chuffa. Think of your Hershey gift sets
Yep.
Yes.
or things like that, that you're
Yeah.
just going to buy stuff because you needed to check a box. All of that went away.
Yeah.
And God, please make it go away for the rest of hopefully this is a new start. You don't have to do any of that shit going forward. Arbitrary gift giving day drives me nuts. Oh,
Mhm.
We'll see.
And all like the obligatory work gifts went away because no one's been at work, and
Yeah.
so I guess there are spins. I mean, for me, like as you guys like, even like last year, Christmas was kind of a big punt for me too because there's not a lot of
Yeah.
people left on my side of the world. But the kid's older now too, so I don't have certain obligations on that end, and it's it was interesting. I don't like Christmas anyway. I'm not a big Christmas guy, but I'm
Yeah,
not.
great.
I'm really not. But the
It's a
wife
great
is,
way to
so-
start our Christmas episode,
Well,
gentlemen,
no, I'm
by
just-
shitting
I-
on the entire.
I don't.
Well, no, it's not my thing. Like the stress and like I said, the bad dust it kicks up and stuff like that
Yeah.
for me. It's just
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to be able to go. Bye-bye.
Oh,
DJ
wait.
just made a
to be
baseball
fair,
swinging gesture. Yeah.
To be fair, you started with how depressed you were by stuff you purposely bought.
Oh, I wasn't calling you guys out. I was observing all
Okay.
three of us.
Just checking.
So
No, I own it.
So for this year, like, we've done like, Christmas gifts and all like that, toy kind of stuff. But Chris actually was given a pretty cool idea for Christmas episode this year.
Yeah. For my, shockingly enough, my wife has been going through our entire back catalog, listening to all of these episodes, which God help her. And
She just likes to listen to me, Chris.
it has to be. She likes the dulcet tones of Sean. Helps her go to sleep. It's soothing. And she came up with an idea. I'm not sure where she saw this or if it just popped in her head on her own, but coming up with a list of 6 living celebrities that you would want to invite over for holiday dinner. And then, as part B, or 1B if you want, which person out of the 6 would you be sitting next to?
Right.
Okay.
So I don't think she had originally put the living on there. That was kind of a little spin as the three of us were talking amongst each other because, we need content, so we'll save the dead people for later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was an interesting little brain exercise as to who the hell you would want to sit next to and why.
Cool.
It was interesting to think through it. I know, as usual, my memory and the amount of time I spent not prepping limits the range.
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Limits the range of folks I would think of. So I'm excited to hear, inspiring things from you guys that didn't occur to me.
I had trouble getting it to 6. I had like 3 people I left off that it was killing me to leave off.
Yeah, I have a list of 10 in front of me that we're going to trim down as we go here.
And just because most of the people who listen to us and most of our friends know who we all would have on there, we left Kevin Smith off.
Yeah.
Just in the spirit of variety, we'll say.
I thought it would be interesting to do it in pairs. So treat it kind of like a top 3, but but kind of go in our traditional order, but throw them out in 2s. No real honorable mentions. I think we should, unless you guys want to talk about people you excluded.
Yeah.
I just didn't think of more people, but I'm sure. So I excluded everybody but 6 people.
Yeah. So one of them, one of my
honorable mention is the globe, all living people,
society.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. So one of my, because I kind of broke it in like category of celebrity.
Yeah.
So one of mine, I cheated and I Chris Davis it. But one person that I initially had on the 6 that I ended up bumping down was Anna Kendrick, the actress.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Just because she's so funny.
Be fun.
Oh,
yeah, she'd be just good people at the table.
Yeah.
And she's one of my favorites, so it was tough leaving her off. But that's the one that I couldn't even find a way to like cheat and squeeze in somewhere. So
be fun to try.
It was. I gave it a thought. Trust me. Yeah.
I only had one. Yeah, I threw the eye candy honorable mention in there, and just put Gal Gadot on the list.
Nice.
I'd want her there just for viewing purposes. I'm not sure I'd have anything to talk to. Like, I'm not gaining anything from the conversation. But yeah,
I bet there's plenty. When I'm struck,
now, the other people is targeted though. There's reasons why.
Yeah, me too.
There.
Yeah,
it would be her just to stand there and look pretty,
just to stare at.
Basically.
So I think it's interesting
flawless.
just in listening to you guys. I'm struck by the abject sausage party that my list is, and I don't. I don't know what that means about me.
Ooh, I do.
Nice. Yeah, I feel a little bit strange about that. But
well, I mean, feel free to dive into your paired sausages whenever you like.
Paired sausages. All right. I will. So I obviously didn't spend a lot of time exhaustively doing it, nor did I really go beyond. Once I had the 6, I didn't try to challenge those to see if I could find anybody else that I want to include. So, apologies to the zillions of people that I didn't even consider. It's just because I suck. But my first pair were actually pretty quick thoughts and are somewhat in the Kevin Smith universe, but I defend them because I've been listening to them both and have been interested in them both for 10 plus years now and don't really think of them, like when I think of them, they're individuals to me, and I really, I have talked to them a little bit, but having them at the table would be great. And that would be Scott Mosier and Brian Johnson. So Scott Mosier, Kevin's producer for almost all of his, View Askew universe films. And, for me, one of the first podcasts I ever listened to was Smodcast. I think I technically started listening to podcasts with Ricky Gervais before. But Scott, of the two of them, he's intelligent, very well-read, philosophically interesting, like a very thoughtful dude with a ton of experience, different perspectives than my own, plus just lots of inherently interesting stories from the career he's had. And then Brian's somebody who I kind of view as and maybe this is wrong, but like one of the best versions of me in terms of the way his brain works, his dark, sharp wit. He's kind of the person I would want to be. At the same time, he's a flawed human being like the rest of us, but just very relatable to me, and somebody that is the anchor for Tell 'em Steve Dave for me for 10 plus years now, and is just somebody that I know I could sit next to in silence or conversation and get a lot out of it and enjoy the hell out of it. And having him and Scott at a table with me and anybody else really adds to a conversation I can sit back and watch. So they're my first two.
Excellent.
To break up the sausage party a little, I will go opposite gender for my first two.
All right.
We'll kind of mix the order a little bit here. And these two are for very different reasons for each of them. First one, Kate Beckinsale.
Oh, interesting.
She has been number one on the list since Serendipity. Fell in love with her there, and it just kind of continued on. There's something about it's the British accent. I am definitely a brunette guy. So
the black leather vampire jump.
Yeah, is she wearing the black leather?
Before we even got there, I want like, little New York apartment dweller, Kate Beckinsale, wandering around Central Park.
Although the little the ice blue vampire contacts took it to another level too. It's like she was hot.
And then her Instagram game this year, like her workout videos, I'm pretty sure she's related to Gumby. I'm not sure how she bends the way she bends.
I'm not familiar with these, but interesting.
There goes the second recording for the day. Sean's going down a rabbit hole because once you start watching, you're not going to be able to stop. Yeah. And the second one, which may surprise you, is Taylor Swift.
Oh, that doesn't
And this is
me.
more for a conversational piece where out of everybody other than maybe a Kardashian, I think she has the firmest grasp of both her audience and how to manipulate the public and how to position herself and reinvent herself continually.
Yeah.
She is never not, and I'm just fascinated by, I'm not a huge fan of the music or anything like that. I'm more a fan of the business behind.
See, you want to do market
Taylor
research
Swift.
at Christmas dinner, basically.
I'm curious as hell.
It is.
Christmas dinner is, if I wanted to drink, it would be Momoa, and I could come up with a whole list of people but that's to go to the bar with.
Yeah, but
this is, if I was going to have a conversation with them, I'd be fascinated just to see how that works, to go from age 14 and to miss all the child star trappings that come along with all of that to where she is now, where she can announce an album at midnight saying, oh yeah, by the way, I'm going to drop another album tonight, and immediately get 1 million sales.
I think that's a fascinating choice also because, I'm definitely interested in everything you said there, but also she's gone through somewhat publicly a lot of business and personal struggles that she's kind of used as grist for her creative mill, but also like I'm interested, the music business transitions that have been happening over the past 20 years. Mm-hmm. She's right in the middle of that. And like you said, is working her market and her audience to survive and benefit from that. But yeah, she'd be interesting to talk to.
And she's almost been immune to those changes because what she does is, remember, she still sells physical albums.
Yeah.
Because like One Direction, they signed a deal with like Target or whatever. They're like, oh yeah, go to the CD and get it at Target because there's like 2 extra songs on it. And she'll sell, 2 million hard copy albums like in a week. It's crazy.
She still has like physical discs going platinum. It's not all streaming with her.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting in our current environment where you see followers online being weaponized one way or another. There's certain people that they can just position the people that follow them in such a way as to drive the narrative.
Yeah.
She does it, but doesn't have the same negative connotations as others. And she's doing it so far because she is popular.
Yeah. That kind of stuff scares me.
If you look at the core facts, she's not exactly on the correct side of the law.
Oh,
like the people she's taking time, which is very similar to other people that are doing it as well.
Oh, yeah.
But she's able to spin it in such a way where, she's the innocent friendly one and they're putting upon her, and she just doesn't do it with a hammer bludgeoning you over the head with it. It's, she's hitting you with a pillow instead of a bat.
All right. Those are good choices.
Super interesting. Super interesting. Okay, so my first 2 seats are reserved for pairs. So I cheated. So number 1 is I had to have some kind of sports figure on there. And I don't want to go like the easy one to pick would be like Brady or Gronk or Belichick or whatever, like that. So I had to pick someone from like this 20-year run of sports that we've had. Okay. So my first pairing is actually, and I had to have a wrestler. I had to. Okay. So I went Chris Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, you want to talk about stories and like charisma and like good conversation. Jericho can talk all day about some of the most interesting stuff you've ever heard of. And he checks 2 boxes because he also has, the music aspect. So he's a touring musician and podcaster, actor, wrestler. Been around, since I was in high school, and still just brings it every week. So then I had to pick a sports guy. This one's kind of off the wall. I went with Scott Thornton, who was a forward with the Bruins back when they had their cup runs. He's a super nice guy. He did a ton of charity stuff up here. He used to do a spot on the radio every week. Good guy to talk to. And he was your quintessential Bruin. He'll give you 12 minutes, and in that 12 minutes, he'll beat the shit out of 2 guys, and he might have an assist. So he was a personal favorite. Just he played real hard, and he was the guy on the team that you didn't want to cross because if you took a run at Marchand or something like that, or like Sagan, he'd come and beat the bag off you, and it was a glorious thing.
A funny story. That is the last time I've been around. I met him at Foxwoods. Last time I can remember in my life actually being fearful for both my own and somebody else's well-being. I like Sean's face there. They do this little cocktail party thing before a golf tournament the night before. It's Hillman's thing.
Oh, okay.
That I went with, like, one of the vendors brought me down to play in the tournament and stuff like that. And there's Veritex there and Gronk, all these people. So everybody's having cocktails, and it's all corporate people, right?
Yeah.
People are buying into this thing. You're not dropping. It's a charity thing. So lots of drunk salesperson type people. And Thornton's talking to a group of guys. And he's there in his little scowie cap, and he's built like a short little brick shit house.
Yeah.
And chatting, and everybody's just sitting there listening to tales. And this one drunk VP of sales, no, come on, you got to go meet him. And as he's telling the story, just reaches and grabs Sean by the shoulder to turn him around. The look and sheer presence on his face, I, without thinking, took 2 steps back. And I wasn't involved in it at all.
Yeah.
I'm on like the periphery of this group. I'm like, oh my God, he's going to kill this fucking
Just
guy.
dodge shrapnel, like, because his jaw might come apart.
I just got the chills thinking of it just like ran through me. I've never been physically afraid before, and it was just a look.
It's not like he's like Char. He's not like a 7-foot monster, but man, he threw
He
bombs.
looks like he could have been in Whitey's crew, like out of the streets of Southie with the scallion, scars on the face, and he's just gonna fuck you up. And Sean's chair dancing. He's throwing me.
He's an all-time like fan favorite Bruins, like legend.
That's an excellent pull.
Okay, so that's my first duo. My second duo at the other chair is I want to you have to have some funny.
Wait.
He's putting duos in chairs.
I'm doing A's and B's for the first two.
Okay.
That gives you 8 people in your...
Yes, we don't follow rules.
You fucking Davis'd it.
Yes, I did.
Hey, don't critique because you only came up with 6. We can give you some names if you want. There's a whole lot of
followed the rules.
So that one was like a true cheat because it's 2 like totally separate guys. I just couldn't pick between the 2.
Because you can't do math, it's a true cheat. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll let him cheat this time. I won't.
This one's not so much because these 2, I don't think you split up. They come as a pair everywhere, and that's Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators of South Park.
Okay, nice.
Okay.
I've listened to like all the documentary stuff they've done, behind the scenes stuff, and interviews. They're just super, super funny guys, super smart, and it just would be. I love the show. I've loved the show since it started. 20 years, 25 years, Jesus Christ, 26 years ago, something like that.
It's been a long time.
And they just, they have interesting perspectives on things, and I think they'd just be a good conversation at the table.
Nice. Other than it being a cheat, I like it.
Bring out your next sausage.
My next pair of sausages.
Lay them on the table, Sean.
Dual dogs, if you will, actually fit together kind of interestingly and capture two huge areas of lifelong interest for me in, I think, a really good way. And the pair is Steven Spielberg and James Cameron. So obviously I've been a lifelong movie and movie production, geek. And kind of have one of the reasons I've always been into that and media production in general is because it really is at the join of the favorite things about the way my brain and kind of soul work, which is creativity, artistic expression, but also science and technology and wielding those kind of tools to do that. And so with Spielberg, you have, an incredible technician, but of movement and framing and the arc of story, and performance, and, so much of the language of modern cinema has his fingers in it or has been translated through his use of it, a reference to what came before. And there's something special about a Spielberg film, whether it's a Raiders of the Lost Ark or whether it's a Schindler's List, or anywhere across the cheese to drama spectrum. But then James Cameron is much more of a cold, calculated, producer who very much is an engineer at heart, right? His background in special effects, his background in the technical aspect of movie making, and his success propelling him into ridiculous things like literally diving on the Titanic and shooting there. Or I think we've talked about in the past my love of the movie The Abyss, because he literally filmed it underwater and put his cast and crew through literal hell in so doing, but achieved something that has such truth to it in terms of what you see. You're not experiencing, fake people CGIing through the ocean. You're literally seeing people under a whole lot of frickin' water going through, the struggles there. And so both of them together, their stories, their career, and their perspectives would be things I'd love to just sit in and soak in, and just would find that fascinating. And I think Spielberg's probably a relatively nice guy. I think James Cameron is purported to be a dick, though I think some of that may come from strength of, his approach and drive.
Yeah, like the control he needs over everything.
Yeah.
I think you hit it, though. I think he's an engineer at heart.
Yes.
My favorite, when you mentioned, you stepped on something I was going to say, my favorite Cameron movie is him doing the documentary about revisiting Titanic, going back to
Yes.
Titanic.
Yep.
The movies themselves are great in their spectacle, and
Yeah.
people can do that piece of it.
Yeah.
He was like a kid in a candy store. He was so excited to have the team go back down and dive to Titanic and see what they got wrong and
Yeah.
to fix what he had done in the movie. And it's we're talking just the pitch angle as the ship was breaking apart. And I screwed this up. This would have been like this. But he was giddy. And when you mention something like The Abyss, he had to do that movie when he did.
Yeah.
Because in the world we live in now, they would
No.
never allow him for insurance purposes to put any of those people through. That would all be it'd be Aquaman. I mean, it would all be CGI'd.
And it wouldn't be the same thing. Yeah.
No, it wouldn't have the same feel. Certainly.
So there's a pair of filmmakers.
Excellent.
Nice pulls. I like those. So I also, in my next pair, have somebody that fits into the Kevin verse, a skew veteran, along with somebody, and it's probably a weird connection, but I'm going to kind of walk you through it. My next pair is Jason Lee and Dave Chappelle.
Okay, great.
Okay. Chappelle for a couple different reasons. The reason I bundled these two together is you have two people that at essentially the height of their careers that walked away from Hollywood.
Yep.
That said, well, I don't need the money, the fame, the trappings of all of this. I mean, with Lee, there was family reasons. He just was bored and he was sick of all the BS that came with it.
Yep.
And literally went to live in a ranch on Texas.
Yeah.
And does some of the most amazing photography I've seen. And he can step back into that world
anytime
and act anytime he wants.
Yep.
He does it. He left it for all the reason. It didn't mean anything to him.
Right.
He had an interesting perspective as to what that career actually was, what he needed for himself and for his family. And the same thing for Chappelle. Chappelle's probably it's a more high profile example of that, where you had somebody that walked away from $50 million.
I'd like
without a discussion. He just said, no, it's being done for all the wrong reasons. It's being done for a paycheck as opposed to I have anything to say.
Right.
Which, if we could bring him to the conversation with your last two, you could probably ask Steven about the Crystal Skull and see how much of that was, money versus,
Movie's so bad.
but and I'm fearful for the next one. I'm not sure where that story is going to go.
I haven't watched Crystal Skull again.
I never went back.
I won't.
It's Age of Ultron for me. It's
yeah.
Saw it once, check the box, I'm done. So no, I think both of them, personality-wise, when you see Lee in interviews, both very thoughtful.
Yeah.
People, interesting social takes, especially Chappelle.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
He's kind of the latter-day Carlin. In my mind.
His lack of he's not restricted by anything in his desire to express his thoughts, and I appreciate that. Yeah.
Well, there's nothing taboo with him, but he comes from a perspective where the things he speaks of, there's only a handful of people that could make the statements he makes,
Sure. Yeah.
and have any kind of credibility. Him, maybe a Chris Rock, prior back in the day.
Sure.
The Carlin reference, you needed to be an Irish Catholic.
Oh yeah.
To take some of the stances that Carlin took against the church, and you needed to be one.
Yeah.
It's kind of like having a brother. I can pick on him. Fuck the rest of you. You can't. You can't say a word. I can say he's a fucking idiot. Same idea. So I think that'd be a really interesting take as to people that had everything were at that pinnacle, and shows that doesn't really mean anything. There was things that are more important to step away. And now they both have other careers, and they found happiness after the fact.
Well, and I think, that the ability to step away for both of them, while different, was founded in a significant amount of success, right? It's easy. Well, no, it's not easy. It's possible to do it if you have had success and haven't blown it through stupidity, right? And
certainly
both of them had, in different ways at different magnitudes, provided
Yeah,
themselves
love
the ability that with the smarts to use that to do what they did, right?
Mhm.
You know, I could step away from my life, but but it wouldn't
Well,
be the same.
It's more of a self-awareness thing
Yeah.
where both of them have come back to the careers they left in varying degrees,
Yeah.
but they're doing it because they want to be there,
Yeah.
not because there's any need to or have to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally on
You
their
know?
own terms. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which I can't imagine how good that feels to have that kind of structure and like security in life. Be like, I don't
Oh, I can
want to do it
imagine it.
anymore.
Well, I can imagine it. I think what keeps most of us trapped, and this is what I'd love to talk to them about, is the things we feel are important that are really bullshit.
Yeah.
If you could cut it to the core of what actually you need, like look behind me, look behind you.
Yeah.
None of this shit is needed.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's supremely important because it distracts us for another day.
Yeah.
That's
It's
excellent,
tough.
right? That's definitely a perspective I'd like to hear, because it's one, like you said, that is increasingly important, I think, to each of us in a different way. We're at different points in our path towards gray wisdom, but when you can buy anything and choose to do anything with your time,
Mm-hmm.
the times I've had that kind of freedom, and I think I sort of have that now, I find it overwhelming and immobilizing, right? I spend more time sitting here in my chair doing nothing, surrounded by things I could want to do or need to do that I'm not. And so, you know, the power to literally have that because you're breathing and making more money than anybody else is all year long is an interesting thought space for me.
Yeah.
Why do they choose what they choose, and what have they learned that it gets them or their family?
It's strange because I'll often say that the happiest I've ever been
Yeah.
is the year I was out of work.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much because it should have been more stressful.
Yeah.
You're wondering, like, there's a shot clock as to when you're not going to be able to pay these bills. And yet I was in a better headspace for that 6 months. And when I went back and chose to go back on my terms,
Yeah.
that's when I decided it was time. I was fortunate enough to get the first interview, but I couldn't have done it 3 months before because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
It was that decompressed time. I didn't buy shit.
Mhm.
I probably read more. I was running more. I was in better shape.
Yeah.
You know, you were doing things for different reasons. I find the more I'm working, the more you're on that grind, the more you buy the crap as a way of
Yeah.
distracting you.
Yeah.
Because for some reason it's something else to hang on my wall, or for DJ, another little guy to put on the shelf, or something like that.
Yeah.
Or a random book, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
You're looking for the distraction. So I'm curious to how they found their happiness, because neither one of them they're living in places where it's not a hotbed of anything. I mean,
Yeah.
Chappelle's in rural Ohio with exactly one other person that looks like him, probably.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
I'm ready to move to
Is-
someplace.
Jason Leeson, you said Texas. Did he live
Lee
in
is
Oklahoma or
on a
something like that too?
He's taken pictures in Oklahoma. He
Oh, okay.
moved the family to a ranch like outside of Austin or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he spent like months just traveling the Southwest, taking
go.
pictures of random shit.
That I would like to do.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So
Nice pair. Good one.
those are my
Nice.
boys.
Very nice.
All right, DJ.
Okay, my next pair is we're doing a holiday dinner. You got to get some foodies in there, right? And you want to hope to God they bring something, because whatever you made probably sucks to them. So, first off, I'm one of my favorite people on the planet is Gordon Ramsay.
Okay.
I've eaten at his restaurants. They're amazing. I've watched all his shows. Not like the, ones on Fox where he's screaming at people because their hotel's dirty, but like a lot of his stuff over in Britain, like the Britain Kitchen Nightmares and the stuff he does, when he's an actual person, not like the cartoon character they make him be in the
Right.
United States.
Mhm.
He seems like one of the most genuine, nicest guys there are. And let's face it, he's probably one of the top 5 preparers of food in the entire world. So that would be a cool one. Just because I like food too, so I like to talk about food and stuff, and
Yeah, sure.
And then my second food person, which is kind of a cheap, I'm gonna go Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Yeah, that's a
who would-
twofer.
It's a twofer, exactly.
Yeah.
So AI break up the sausage party, right? As Sean likes to say. But she's published a cookbook. She had a show on Food Network. She's got a new kind of like food type show coming out. But I mean, that's not fucking kid ourselves. It's Kelly Kapowski from Saved by the Bell, which is the main reason. That's why Anna Kendrick couldn't make it. She couldn't crack the list because I had Kelly Kapowski on there. So,
Well, we don't know if Anna can cook.
that's true. I wouldn't even care, but no, but and this is also something where it's like this kind of checks a box for almost every decade of my life, kind of having her there. So
yeah,
I can say, yeah, now no, 'cause she's got the cookbook and she can cook and she makes some good stuff and all that yada yada yada. But also now she's Kelly Kapowski again, and back 12-year-old me, she's Kelly Kapowski then. So it's just kind of
Are you having her wear the suspenders?
Sure. I don't care. So the circle of life, kind of. So
nice.
that's my next two.
I can see that being interesting. For my final pairing, it'll become apparent one of the reasons that I wanted to do it in pairs. This one kind of came out of the left side of my brain. I wasn't. Yes,
Bert and Ernie isn't. It's Bert and Ernie.
It's not Bert and Ernie though. That's a good one. No, this.
Come on.
No,
Give it to me. Give it to me.
No.
Hans and Franz.
This was somewhat random, but as soon as it came into my head, it was obvious and true. It's possible that the definition or requirement of them being celebrities might make this a bit of a cheat. I didn't have celebrity. I was just thinking living people. But I realized in terms of...
You can't just go living people. No. That's like when you do a top 5 with your wife. You can't say like Kelly from accounting because that's too close to reality. It just doesn't... You can't play those games.
Yeah, there's some closeness to reality too, but I realized that this pair of folks definitely belong at the table with a dinner where I care about the conversation. And
Chris, it's us. Oh.
It is.
No,
it is.
Oh,
it's you two. Yes.
Really?
I was just being an asshole.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's you two, for very different reasons, but good ones. Chris's perspective is one I've grown to respect and find interest in, because there's some nice overlap with mine, but a different experience and a different way of looking at things, and definitely your asshole eye is one that's interesting to hear the perspective of. And then DJ, you're just a fucking moron that, I think your position at the table for me is I love the enthusiasm that you bring to different conversations, along with sometimes the stupidity or naive view of things. But the idea of also letting everybody else at the table shit on you, it just kind of adds that extra oomph of joy for me in the concept.
I'm there just to rile up James Cameron. That's my only point on the list.
Yes.
That's what I'm there.
Honestly, the idea of you and James Cameron and you and Brian Johnson, both of those are pretty much highlights.
Hey, you have Avatar 5 coming along.
The idea of Brian and DJ at a table together?
Yes.
I'm not sure Brian could sharpen the knives enough.
It's definitely one of
This is going to be like a shot out of like Kill Bill, and then DJ's just going to fall to 7 pieces.
Yeah. So sort of a cheat, but at the same time, definitely true. After a year of bullshit, it would also be nice to actually sit at the table with you guys again. In the real world.
We did that like in February or something.
Yeah, we've done it a couple times in the last 9 or 10 months.
5 years.
Yeah, we're on the porch once.
We were on
backyard
the porch
once.
Yes. Yeah. So
Well,
DJ,
glad I
Chris.
could be the gesture to your Christmas party, Sean.
Hey, it adds value, man.
I like it. I can understand the thought process.
Yeah.
It's an epic cheat.
It's not a cheat, though. It was honest.
3 minutes ago, but he got to 4 on the list, and then we started
I thought of that a
recording.
long time ago. I just it wasn't possible unless there were 6, right? If it was only 3 people, there's no way. I have that
Very
dinner
fair.
all the time.
Very fair. Well, That was incredibly sweet of you. And now in true asshole fashion, you didn't come close to making my list.
Oh, I did not expect to be on either of your lists.
So I kind of went round and round. There were other people that could have been on honorable mentions, and some of them you probably would have had on your list. Like I had authors, Sean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a Neil Gaiman and a Stephen King would have
King.
been.
I thought for sure
Or
you
if-
get those two.
I thought.
Or if we went the party route like we were talking before, I'd want like Momoa and The Rock
Yeah.
or something
Oh, yeah.
like that, or Ryan Reynolds, those kind of,
Yeah.
if it's just that kind of stuff. But I tried to pick out like different, it's more intellectual curiosity
Mhm.
at this point. I just want to sit around and have cocktails and pick people's brains here. And what's strange is I'm going back through the list. Like I didn't really pick any business type people.
Mhm.
Like I never went with a Buffett or a Gates, like, because I kind of figure you can find that information out yourself.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in people, much like a Kevin, like that have kind of cracked the code, like either overcome something, or like a Taylor Swift that have cracked the code that I am just going to print money because of my fucking name, you
Right.
know? But these two definitely fall into the Trainwreck and Phoenix Rising
All right.
area. And they can, one I think would be a lot of fun. The other one's probably more reserved. First one is Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, I knew that. Yep.
and Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
nice.
both child celebrities
Yep.
went through absolute pinnacle of their craft.
Yep.
We're talking Academy Award
While
nominations.
still
to
incredibly young. Yep.
still incredibly young. Way too much success at way too young of an age.
Yeah.
what was it? Was it
To
Chaplin? Was his Academy Award
Chaplin.
nomination? Okay, yeah.
He is
That movie was
mesmerizing in Chaplin.
I've never seen.
To a spectacular public fall.
Yeah.
It's the fall from grace on either of them. But in true American fashion, no, people love a comeback. The only thing they like
Yep.
better than beating on somebody until they can't breathe anymore is to see those people pick themselves back up.
and
Mhm.
stick it up their ass.
To now where they're at Tiger in his early 40s.
Yep.
RDJ's early 50s, I believe.
Maybe.
yeah, I think he's like
Settled family man, like they become the elder statesman in their area. So much so that they built an entire universe on
Yes.
Downey Jr.'s back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that wasn't where they were picturing that going. Thank you, Favreau. But I'd love to just pick their brains as to that experience. And it kind of dovetails into the Taylor thing too,
Yeah.
as to what it's like to be that big, that young. I mean, not many of them are on TV at 2 like Tiger
Nope.
was,
Yeah.
yeah,
but to have the light on you from that early an age and the expectations of the world. But to just kind of walk through that thought process and just how self-aware they are of how low they fell, what it took to come back,
Yeah.
and how they avoid those trappings the second time around. Where did that perspective set in?
Well, I want to know where the gun shy. Right. There has to be some scar tissue in both of them, right? You can't go through what they've gone through without having some touchy areas, even if they've worked on them and gotten past it. Like there just has to be some real shit to deal with.
For all of their success, they never seemed happy when they were successful early in their career.
Right. Yeah.
It's only after they got comfortable with themselves and how they got to that point to where the even greater success came later
Yep.
on, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
So I think it would just be a fascinating conversation to kind of pick those brains.
Totally. agree.
nice. So on the subject of like picking brains, so Chris actually brought him up. The first part of my last pair is Jon Favreau.
Mm.
I was expecting that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and not just so much for like obviously the Mandalorian stuff's its own kind of thing, but he's done a lot of my favorite stuff. I love that
Yeah.
movie, The Replacements,
Chef.
that he's in. I love it. I love Chef's one of my favorite movies. I love the
Chef's
Jungle
amazing.
Book remake.
Yeah.
Swingers, even like something like the. I even like Zathura when he did Zathura back in the day, but
Yeah.
also like his
Mhm.
he's a good actor
Elf.
too. He's Elf. He's been on The Sopranos. He was in so I mean he kind of like he covers a large span of things, but I mean the most of the bulk of the conversation would probably be like Chef, Marvel, and Star Wars.
Yeah.
But like this machine he's kind of created is fascinating to me from both like a fan of Star Wars, obviously, and a fan of movies and media and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And just like the way that literally like they almost can do no wrong now. It's insane. Whether it's him on the Marvel side or the Star Wars side, it's like it's such a the train is going on the tracks. So I mean, I don't think you could stop it at this point in time. You know.
And universally, you never hear a bad word said about him.
Exactly. You never.
Everybody
there's no
raves
stories.
about how
Everyone
nice
says
this
he's a
guy.
great guy. So, and he just seems like and I've seen like interviews, and he just seems like once again, most of these everyone I pretty much picked is just like it's just to get the conversation at the table.
Oh yeah.
Be fun to shoot the shit, kind of.
Certainly.
So he's up there, and then obviously I had to check a major Star Wars box in this whole thing. And granted, my list is a little lean nowadays because there's but so. Conventional wisdom would be like, pick Harrison Ford, get Han Solo, but he doesn't talk.
We know he's not a conversationalist.
No, so I went. The plane crashed into the field. So I went Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
The ability to sit down and like have a drink and like a piece of garlic bread with Luke Skywalker, or the Joker for that matter, or Bonkers, or any of these other characters he's done.
To be fair,
trickster.
He does a better Harrison Ford than Harrison Ford does.
He does now. It's great.
Oh my God, his impersonation is spot on.
But on top of just same thing, kind of like Favreau, you never have heard a bad word about him. He kind of more than I think any of the mainstays from the Star Wars movies. Obviously, like Peter Mayhew was all about being Chewbacca and all that stuff, but he kind of has He's leaned into he knows he knows he's such a big part of people's lives. He's okay with it,
He embraced it later too.
Yes.
That's another one where
kind of like Shatner.
Massive success younger. Exactly. Massive success younger. I mean, they can't all be dual, He loved being in Star Trek. But it wasn't until he had a little distance from the role that he understood exactly how big that fandom was, his place in it, and appreciated what he had.
Yeah. And obviously, now he's all in. But like the stories of like the Star Wars stuff and the voice acting stuff. I'm a massive cartoon person. And I'm fascinated with that world of voice acting, and he's one of the best all time. He's up there like on the Mount Rushmore voice actors.
Yeah.
He's top 1 or 2 and the nicest people we've ever met at any of those cons. And there's a lot of nice people. There's very few assholes.
Yeah.
And any of that. He was just unbelievable.
I have to hopefully one day the world opens back up and things go back to semi-normal. I have to check that box. Because I missed so many of the other ones.
He's the only one that brought us back to New York that year.
Yeah,
Sean can tell you. It was before we started doing this stuff. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not doing any more cons. I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
And then Heather's sitting there looking at me when I'm like, fuck. She's like, what? I'm like, they just announced Hamill for New York.
Yep.
Like he was the one that could drag. It was Carrie the year before. And then Mark dragged me down.
Yeah. I had Carrie all bought and paid for, and she got sick and she bailed.
Oh.
And then next year she passed away. So that one still hurts. So
she was.
But yes, I mean, if I could eat dinner with Luke Skywalker, obviously that's a massive thing. I'm sure he's got, amazing stories all over the place. So
of course.
Plus, we could tie it back in. He's also a View Askew alum. So
technically true.
So,
awesome. So, those are good.
Okay, so who are we sitting in between, Sean?
So for me, I definitely want to be sitting next to Brian Johnson. He's the one that I'm whispering back and forth, in his amazement at you before he shoots at you. So definitely Johnson. And then probably James Cameron. Because I tend to react to or think of things in terms of, in technical and engineering terms, and would want to be able to kind of bounce that stuff off of them. Whereas I definitely want to be able to see you guys, right? So I want you across the table from me, not necessarily next to each other, but so, periodically I can see your reactions to, oh, this is fucking amazing. Yeah.
Excellent. That's a good call. I think I would have to put myself in between Kate Beckinsale, because that's the only time I would ever get that close to
right
something that godlike. And honestly, I think it would be Chappelle on the other side.
Yeah, good call.
I think it was between him and Lee.
Yeah.
And I think RDJ can flip that switch
Yeah.
and be Tony Stark whenever he wants to,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. But I think he'd be more reserved. Tiger and Taylor, I think, would be reserved there.
Mhm.
It would be Chappelle or Lee that would be those little side conversations, or the little smart ass comments, or things like that. Or then it would be one of those. But yeah, I would go Chappelle on the other side.
Nice. So I let 12-year-old DJ make this call. It's Luke Skywalker and Tiffany Amber Thiessen.
Yeah.
That's who I'm in between. There's no.
And the best part is he would jerk off to either one of them.
Oh,
Yes,
either one of
basically.
them?
Basically, either way.
No
So,
question.
12-year-old me
6 foot
or 38-year-old me. That's right.
Oh, 6 foot erection the entire time.
did not need to wrap up the Christmas content with that.
Well, we could put a bow on the erection if you wanted.
No,
Be fine.
no.
Little tag. Two
Stop.
Sean sausage party
Stop.
of DJ.
No more. I'm begging you.
He only comes with one sausage, though. They're not pairs. So.
Let's actually get a little Christmassy, please,
Okay.
with our top 3, DJ.
Okay, this one should be pretty straightforward. So let's just go. We had like some in-depth conversation on the holiday table. So let's just go nice and easy layups. Top 3 Christmas songs, gentlemen.
Awesome. I do
Cool.
have an honorable mention. Apologies if it's on one of your lists. Honestly, it probably should be on my top 3. Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Excellent.
I was just the right age when it came out, and I can't hear it without, having some fundamental Christmas goodness hit me. Like it's the mood and all the good memories and things about Christmas. Strangely enough.
Okay.
God, that has to be the asshole in me, because as soon as you said it, it cringed.
Yeah.
Like, that fucking song.
Again, I think so much of it's
It
about
is.
how
It's-
old I was when it came out.
Certainly.
Right? Yeah.
I'm going to go through my honorable mentions and the stuff that there's things on there that don't really make sense. I mean, they're good, but the place they have in my heart are entirely different because of other memories that I have. with
Right.
kids. So I actually had a few honorable mentions. First one being Happy Christmas, War is Over by John Lennon and Yoko Ono.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, one, it always kind of bugged me that Yoko gets any billing on it because all she says is like fucking Happy Christmas, John, or whatever. But whatever.
Yeah.
She can have her name listed. All I Want for Christmas Is You. Annoying song as all hell until I realized that woman does not need, she wrote the song in 15 minutes
Yeah.
and does not need the rest of her career
Because of that.
to be one of the biggest recording stars of all time.
Yeah.
She pulls in millions every year just in royalties off that song. It just,
You
I went down
anchored
that
a
rabbit
Christmas
hole.
hit and
and I was,
Yep.
for what was literally a 15-minute throwaway
Mhm.
to stick on the album, and it set her for life, which
Mhm.
way my brain works. But my sentimental one is the entire Elvis Christmas album. I couldn't pick Blue Christmas or anything.
Yeah.
The Elvis Christmas album was, my father's not a huge Christmas person. He's very much like me. That's
Yeah.
where I get it from. No question. Hates all the bullshit that comes along with it. But he adored that Christmas album growing up. So I heard that a ton. I mean, Elvis was on constant rotation and it kind of just stuck. That's when I think of Christmas music. That's the first go-to when it's time to play your traditional stuff. So
Nice.
those are the honorable mentions.
How about
Nice.
you,
I
DJ?
also had a quick 3-pack. So I had a John Lennon song on my honorable mentions also. So I had So This Is Christmas.
Yeah.
Great song. And that was kind of like the more like classic ones when I was a kid. So Oh Holy Night, just because
It's
that's
the same song.
Yeah. It's the same song.
It's the same song.
I know.
All right. Yeah. What else?
I like it.
And then Rock Around the Christmas Tree, just because that was like
Nice.
back when I was a kid. That was
little
like
Brenda Lee.
that was like the cool Christmas song, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Before all this other stuff
Good.
started up. So
Hell yeah. I like it.
What was the third one?
I had the John Lennon song. I had Rock Around the Christmas Tree and Oh Holy Night.
Oh, Holy Night.
Yeah.
Awesome. Any
Cartman
particular
singing Oh
version
Holy
or
Night?
just in general?
We
Cartman.
Early night.
Although the spin when Cartman does Oh Holy Night is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's all about just him getting presents again. But But yeah, so I actually don't need him to sing that song for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, so
Love the Cartman version.
All right. So top 3 Christmas songs. Didn't spend a lot of time like these. These are straight ahead, non-ironic. They're the things that kind of make me happy. Number 3 is Let It Snow. Any particular version. There's something about like when I start singing Christmas songs, as we tail towards the end of the fall, this is universally one of them. Just the picture it paints of not just snowy holidays and Christmas time, but we'll get married. It's just kind of this romantic framing of Christmas that goes back to my childhood, and it's just one. It's right up there for me. Let It Snow.
You did pronounce the song wrong. It's pronounced "The Tits Now."
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that, but I put it on my list even so. That's how much I like it.
I like it. All right. My number 3 is probably the most traditional of the songs that I have on here.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love this rendition of it. Not a huge fan of the song itself, but I love these two people singing it together. It's the Little Drummer Boy, the Bing Crosby, David Bowie version.
David Bowie. Nice.
Yeah. Anything with Bowie.
Yeah.
And I was always kind of enthralled by it as a kid, this strange mashup.
Yes.
It's like old guard, new guard, and their voices just worked perfectly together.
Yeah. And it's it's a pop culture anchor as well. It's like a time and place, and it's heartfelt.
You can picture
Christmas
the video.
Spirit. Yeah.
I'm standing next to the whole thing.
Yep.
Did they do that like live and in person, or was it like a mix kind of thing?
No, this video of them singing it together.
Oh, they actually did. Okay, I never knew, so I didn't know when Bing Crosby kind of.
I think it came from a TV special originally, and then was released after. Yeah,
it
was probably
great.
Bing doing the Christmas special or something.
Yep.
But
cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so my number 3 is Mariah Carey, "All Off Christmas With You." Even though it's like it's the Christmas song now, but like that whole like mid to late 90s Mariah Carey, it's like Hall of Fame level, like both music and how everything else for my age range. So,
which kind of amazes me. Do you guys play Christmas music in the store?
No, not
okay.
Not a game. No,
I was gonna say somebody in retail picking that as a favorite.
Yeah, no.
I would be picturing pencil in the ear kind of a thing.
Oh yeah, if you worked at like if
you're at a mall or
Target or
Target
mall or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That's
no,
exactly what I was thinking.
Nope.
Please make it stop.
From the beginning of November through January, like what the fuck?
I probably hear that song twice a year, so it hasn't like eaten its way through my brain yet. So I can kind of look at it objectively, but I mean it's super catchy.
Yeah.
And
did you watch the special? She did. I
heard about it. I didn't watch it.
It sent me down this weird rabbit hole of Mariah Carey facts.
Yeah.
Because it's strange. We went into odd places, and somehow I found out that it's a whole thing comparing Mariah Carey to Axl Rose. There's like sing-off videos.
What?
If you go on YouTube, because Axl actually has a larger range than Mariah. She has a 6 octave and he's a recorded 7. Little things that popped up. It showed up on the Wikipedia.
What?
That's
like
weird.
Second greatest range. I'm like, bullshit. Did the search? YouTube
Holy
exploded. I'm like,
shit.
What the fuck? Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
That's
so
interesting.
take that.
Because I mean,
You don't have a game to watch today. Go enjoy.
Yeah, because I always kind of thought like, as far as like my, the time I've been alive on this planet, the only person that's even close together is Mariah and Whitney. Probably, I would think that would be my initial thought.
We had no idea. I thought
insanity.
he was more screechy, but
wow.
I guess that's
Interesting.
There's my tidbit for the day.
There we go.
Tidbit.
The more you know.
All right. Moving on to number 2. Again, straight ahead traditional, but in this case, it's a specific performance. It's Bing Crosby's White Christmas. So there's an opening little instrumental flourish, like some bells and I think it's strings, but just from the opening notes of that particular recording, again, I'm just anchored right into this is Christmas. This is, it's calm, it's peaceful, happy. His voice, I mean, obviously legendary, wonderful tones. And I have enjoyed for a number of years. Jen and I tend to watch the White Christmas movie, every year. We actually didn't this year, strangely enough. I think she did without me.
Yeah.
But that one, again, just sets the mood.
Very nice. I like it. So my number 2, we kind of go off the rails a little bit. More showing the love of the 80s and when I was growing up and when this hit. My number 2 is Last Christmas by Wham.
Oh, yeah. That's classic.
I don't know why exactly. I wasn't a fan of Wham when Wham was together. Ended up being a big George Michael's fan.
Yeah.
I think that Faith album is just unbelievably
it's
underrated.
classic.
Front to back is almost perfect.
It's just a tour de force, song after song after song. He's one of those guys that I found I was never a huge Prince fan the first time around.
Right.
I was still more into your hair bands and things like that. And you kind of discovered, who the hell's listening to Purple Rain? And then you go and play it once and oh my God, he's way better than any of the people I was listening to. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of my bubbly, happy.
Yeah. It's
it's not really a happy song. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about breakups and
it's an amazing Christmas song.
Yeah.
he is dumping him. But yeah, that's. So there you go. A little bit of Wham.
My number 2 is also Last Christmas by Wham.
There you go.
Wham.
I'm the one who always takes a shit, but you two are the Wham choosing losers.
I actually didn't.
Hey, we were
mind
touching
Wham
Vision Quest on the last one, right? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. No,
That's true.
And
it didn't go crazy for you.
Yeah. This one's been covered a couple times too. Like one of the Disney kids, Ashley Tisdale, did it and actually came up pretty good too. I think you used to watch High School Musical, so we had that.
She's not in rehab yet.
No,
she would have been gone by now.
No, she's hosting that new Fox show, that Masked Dancer thing or whatever. And she did the Run on Sons of Anarchy and everything like that. So, but it was that. So to me, Last Christmas was the Christmas song until Mariah Carey came around and knocked it off the pedestal pretty much. So it was like the pop culture Christmas song. So it's just great song. So it's basically just Never Want to Dance Again, just with Christmas bells. And it's almost
to me,
it's almost the exact same song. It just kind of carries. You could put them together.
I'm not going to be able to get those horns out of my head. Damn you!
It's a major key version. It's nice.
Damn.
Guilty.
So my number 1 is a bit more sappy and personal for me. It's a specific version. It's the song "Silent Night." Though I think technically the title is in German on the album Stille Nacht. I don't know if it's pronounced exactly like that, but Mannheim Steamroller is a weird kind of one-man band that I only found because I used some of their music to score, animal shows when I used to work at Marine World way back, back in the 80s. And they put out a Christmas album in 1984, or he did, a guy named Chip Davis. Lots of synthesizers, digital production, really interesting instrumentation. So it was a technical thing as well as a musical thing for me. But this particular album, highly recommended. You've definitely heard Mannheim Steamroller Christmas music. But the last track on that album is just a particularly beautiful, evocative instrumental version of Silent Night. And I have a specific memory of during college, there were the school had a break between mid-December and mid-January. It was called Independent Activities Period, where most people went home for 4 or 6 weeks, saw their family for holidays, things like that. But one particular year, I did not. And me and one other fraternity brother in the freezing cold, Boston brownstone, he lived up in Vermont, but for some reason was hanging out. And we were just going through a lot of stress and crap. And, one stupid night, we're, hanging out, feeling sorry for ourselves, put this album on, and this song came on, and I look up, and he's freaking tearing up, feeling homesick, and I was too. It's just really, it captures a different part of my Christmas memory from youth, a time period where I really appreciated being with family and wasn't. and that song kind of anchors that. So it's kind of sad, but it's also like it's just this forever, when I hear that, it's a forever memory that reminds me to appreciate actually being with people, which kind of comes to mind right now, honestly.
Again, you actually just made me think of something I probably should have put on the list, so apologies to my wife when she listens to this, but it made it nowhere near. We actually used, interestingly enough, we got married on December 30th. So we actually used a Christmas song as the entrance music to our reception. And
Last
we used
Christmas
Trans-Siberian.
by Wham?
No, that would have been amazing. Should have. No, Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Nice.
I believe it's Christmas Eve /
In
Sarajevo
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
think
I
it's
think about that
Sarajevo.
one.
And I didn't either until Sean started talking about the instrumental. It kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
slipped my mind. But that's one of those, I've never actually gone and seen them. I know they've come around in tour, but that's always been like a staple of Christmas.
Yeah.
First time
an
you
awesome
get to hear
show.
that.
That's such
Yeah.
a good show.
Yep.
Excellent.
Nice.
So
What's
that
your
wasn't
actual
actually my number one. My actual number one, and this was the easiest. This got written down before I started working on any of the other
Anything
crap.
else? Yeah.
It is the first Christmas song you hear in the greatest Christmas movie ever created, "Christmas in Hollis" by Run DMC, off the Die Hard soundtrack.
I
it
knew that's where he was
melded
going to.
It melded two things I love together. I love that movie more than anything.
Of course.
And for the first time, it was a band that I actually enjoyed listening to.
Right.
Outside of any of the other stuff. The Wham stuff, that kind of came after the fact, right?
Yeah.
They were part of pop culture, the musical scene, and then you found them through other things. But when it came to that song, I was a big Run DMC fan growing up, had all the albums. For them to throw out a Christmas song just absolutely delighted me. Harley probably knew the lyrics to that song before she knew Frosty, just because she heard it so much. Like, I was the kid on record store day, I think it was last year, that ran out to buy the picture disc of Christmas in Hollis,
Nice.
the single, so I could have it on vinyl.
I remember that was on the first ever A Very Special Christmas CD album.
It was.
When they did all the, Bon Jovi did the Run with Rudolph and all that, and yeah. And that was like I think it was track number 1. I think it was like right off the bat. They had the video for it and everything.
Yep.
Awesome.
Nice.
All right. So with my number 1, it was also the first thing I wrote down once we said songs. And to me, the best Christmas song ever created is Swiss Colony Beef Log by Eric Cartman. It's off the
don't know this.
Yeah, it's off the
You don't know?
Mr. Hanky's
Oh,
Coming
God.
to Town Christmas CD. It's a touching story about a kid at Christmas who realizes that the neighbors had moved away. They got different neighbors, so they're not bringing over the same stuff for Christmas they've had every year. And it starts as nice and sweet and quiet, and then it just goes like full metal mode when Grandma basically wraps a summer sausage and puts it under the tree, so the fat kid gets his fucking summer sausage on
It
Christmas
fits
Eve.
in very well with your dinner party.
So what's
Pretty
the
much,
name of it? What,
Swiss
it's
Colony Beef Log.
Beef Log?
Beef Log,
Yes.
yes. Swiss
It was
Colony
a
it's like a Hillshire Farms catalog. You
Yeah,
order like
yeah.
cracker putters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Swiss Colony Beef Log is basically just a giant summer sausage, a massive summer sausage.
That song was a staple on my Christmas mixtapes for years.
It's just,
It was always there.
and not only is it like hilarious and obviously Cartman my favorite character, but it's actually a pretty good song. Like musically, it's snappy. It's got the snap to it. So,
I like it.
yeah, and like I said, I love the South Park, like that South Park Christmas CD. Like Chris uses the term, was a tour de force. What an amazing, considering that I think there's "Oh Holy Night" sung by Cartman.
Mhm.
There's "Hark the Herald Angel Sings" by all the kids, and it's so out of tune. There's like just kids screaming over each other, and then you had the Bells one with Mr. Mackey,
Yeah.
the Carol of the Bells. It was just
Merry fucking
okay.
Christmas.
Yeah, ding dong, okay. Merry fucking Christmas. O Tannenbaum, which is
Yeah.
Hitler and Satan and like Michael
got-
Landon in hell singing a song about
You do
Christmas
have,
trees.
you have Christmas Time in Hell.
Yep.
That's a good one.
John F. Kennedy Jr. and everyone's in it. It's bonkers.
Anytime
guys are
you
the
can
best.
bring Hitler into Christmas, I mean, come on.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's Hitler and Satan singing a song about Christmas trees. And it kind of goes.
I forgot about
Sean's
the
German
dreidel song too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the South Park version of the dreidel song.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, Swiss Colony Beef Log. Fucking the Christmas song. And it's
I
not
think
even
I
close.
just figured out what was wrong with this Christmas. I never went back and watched The Spirit of Christmas to start the season this year.
Oh, you did?
That's usually the go-to that I go and watch that.
I
It's been
watched
sitting on my hard drive from computer to computer to computer.
I think I ended up. I
decades
did watch.
now.
So there's a ton of Christmas specials for South Park. I think I ended up watching the Forest Critter Christmas's Blood Orgy was the Christmas one I watched this year.
And to think that entire series started from a animated Christmas card to George Clooney of all people.
I know, insane. So okay, so Sean had What's It's Now, White Christmas by Bing Crosby, and Silent Night by Mannheim Steamroller. Chris had the David Bowie and Bing Crosby version of Little Drummer Boy, Last Christmas by Wham. And Christmas Time in Hollis by Run DMC. And I had All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. I'm so sorry. Last Christmas also by Wham. And Swiss Colony Beef Log by Eric Cartman. Excellent.
Nice.
Excellent.
So good.
Happy holidays, gentlemen.
Happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays.
We made it. The year's almost over. So
Yeah. So so we will be doing a New Year's episode.
yep. Gonna
As
do
soon
it
as Sean prepares.
gonna do it a little different this year. It's gonna be a it's gonna come out right after this one. So it's gonna be a little different. So we're gonna try to mix up a bit and see if this is something we can start doing every year to kind of mix up the normal end of year stuff. So thank you everyone for listening. Hope everyone had a nice quiet Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate during all this madness and bullshit. But
Yes.
we made it. We made it. That's all that matters.
Thanks for spending it with us.
Yes. Have a good night, everybody.
Take care, guys.
Bye.